to the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue Education Committee. This is one of a 4-class series which our instructor, Rachel Gabbay, has gracefully accepted to lead. All of us, members of the Education Committee, are hoping to create a community that learns and grows together. That's very important to us. So stay tuned and please make sure to join and participate in our future events. At the end of this event tonight, we're going to have a question and answer period and a discussion period. So you could either post your question on chat or you can ask it directly at the end of the session. But please wait until Rachel has finished before asking any question. So, Rachel, let me just tell you a couple of words about Rachel. I know most of you know her, but just in case. So Rachel Gabbay has joined the Education Committee as a devoted volunteer, and she brings with her knowledge and insights into Judaism. She believes that education allows us the freedom of choice. It creates new pathways of understanding and awareness, and therefore enriches our personal and general reality. Rachel has studied at McGill University, and she holds a degree of education in Jewish studies. She has taught in elementary school, high school, and university. In addition to that, Rachel also has studied holistic medicine, nutrition, and healing. Wow, what a package, Rachel. Rachel is a member of the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue, together with her husband, Michael, and their children. So without waiting any further, please go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, thank you very much, Rose, for your presentation and for your support along the way. And thank you for everyone that is showing up and decided to spend the next hour with me. I hope I'll make this time worthwhile for you. We're going to start with the question, which is what this lecture is all about. Are science and religion compatible? And what does the Torah tell us about our world, about this world that we live in? And I want to, hold on now, in order for me to see the whole, that's better. So I wanted to tell you what we're going to do today, how did I structure the class at the presentation. So we'll discuss the differences in fundamental views between science and religion. This is something that you probably are familiar with already, but I felt that it's necessary to go over them. And then we'll proceed to biblical view and deeper textual understanding of what is written. And then once we finish with that, it is important for me to ask ourselves, why is it important, this information? What's the difference between religion and science? How is it meaningful to us? And what difference can it make in our lives? What can we do with this information? After that, we'll have a discussion of about what we have learned. I'm starting the class with a quote from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, great inspiration to me. And he said, science takes things apart to see how they work. Religion puts things together to see what they mean. Next after him, I chose another very inspirational speaker, a person. He's a scientist. His name was Neil Henrik David Bohr. I assume most people know him. He has contributed a lot to quantum theory and the development of physics. He said the opposite of fact is falsehood, but the opposite of one profound truth may very well be another profound truth. and he based it on his experience in physics. So there we go. Now, both science and religion seek to understand the underlying truth about our world and our existence in it. The issue is the approach. Now, science makes a claim, is asked to prove it, and goes ahead and proves it. Once he proves it, then everybody can accept the facts. On the other hand, I have a problem with this, with the view of the pictures. Okay, religion, on the other hand, makes a claim, and when asked to prove it, is asking us to have faith, is asking us to believe in what is being told to us. And many people have, especially in today's life, the young people and older people have a problem with it. And in my opinion, that's why people distancing themselves more and more from religion. So let's see. Science is based on scientific theories. So how are they different than faith? Scientific claims have to be proven. That's the difference. That, well, that's not yet the difference. When you make a claim, when you make a fact in scientific, in the scientific world, you have to prove it before it's approved. You have to, hold on, pictures are really, I don't know what to do with them. They're on the writing. On the other hand, the scientific discoveries are often based on theories, and theories can never be proven, because once they're proven, they are a fact, they are a claim. So, so there is here a little bit of give, but it must be testable through observation or experimentation. So the theories are a theory, it's not a proven fact, but the results of the observations are kind of approving of, they're not proving, but they're approving of the theory. So for instance, the Big Bang theory, despite some notable problems, the Big Bang theory remain largely consistent with the observation and is widely accepted through the cosmological community. Now, one of the biggest problems for me with the Big Bang theory, there are few, is the beginning of what happened in the beginning of the Big Bang that science cannot explain, just theorize. So that's why it's the Big Bang theory. Okay, so does faith require a blind belief? Let's see. There are divisive claims. I took this comics, and it says the scientific method. Here are some facts. What conclusion can we draw from them? On the other hand, the creationist method, where God created the world. Here are the conclusion. God created the world. What facts can we find to support it? In my opinion, it's a comics, and I'm not completely agreeing with it, because they both look at the conclusions and try to, science tries to prove it, and the creationist method, the belief in God, also tries to look for supports, but also relies on faith. Okay, divisive claims. In Judaism, the world as we know it is almost 6,000 years old. In the Hebrew calendar, we're now standing on the year 5,782 years. This is since the creation of our world, okay? According to science, measurement made by NASA are showing that the universe is 13.7 billion years old, plus or minus 130,000 years. And the Earth was formed obviously later, 4.5 billion years ago. But still the universe is existing about 14 billion years. So what do we think? Is it 6th day of creation, that is almost 6,000 years ago, or the Big Bang theory that is 14 billion years ago? What do we choose? There is another issue that in the biblical versus science, very fundamental, that God created man and the world as is, according to our belief, in 6 days, and versus the theory of evolution that was developed initially by Darwin in his book that came out in 1859. It was called On the Origin of Species. It's written, he wrote about the theory of evolution by natural selection. The theory of evolution maintains that species change over time through natural selection, survival, adaptation, mutation, etc. So basically, I mean, according to his book, man evolved from apes. One does not necessarily have, there is problems with this theory, but the idea of survival and adapting in order to survive, mutations of cells, changes that happen in the DNA are actually a fact. It's known through the biological community. Now, so what do we believe? Let's see. You can ask yourself. But 30%, I thought it was an interesting finding that 34% of Americans believe in creationism, 34%. 57% of evangelical Christians believe in creationism. Creationism means in the Bible, 6-day creation. God created everything as is. And but Jews, on the other hand, are only 16% believe that the world has always existed in its present form. So 34 American, 57, but the Jews are only 16%. Now, 25% of Americans believe in evolution guided by a supreme being, okay, 25%. Also, 25% of evangelical Christians believe in the natural processes guided by supreme being. 18% of Jews believe that these processes were guided by a supreme being, meaning God to us, okay, 18% only. But the Jews are 58% believing that the world came about through natural processes, which means 50% of Jews are really not non-believers in. And only 11% of evangelical Christians believe in evolution. So Jews by far are not tending to rely on belief. They want proof. They're scientific minded. That's why this lecture is needed. We need to find proof and answers in order to continue with our religion. Now, can we mediate these fundamental differences? What does the text tells us about creation? So here we come to the next step. So in Genesis chapter 1, the Perek Bereshit, it's starting, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Why is this important? Because it says in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. This is the book of the beginning of beginning. These are the first words in the Torah. So the question is asked, why does the first book of the Torah, which describes the beginning of creation, the beginning of the world, the beginning of everything, starts with the letter Bet, the second letter of the alphabet? it could have started with the letter Aleph, no problem. Because after Bereshit bara comes Elohim. Elohim starts with the letter Aleph. It's the first letter of the alphabet. It is very proper Hebrew to say Elohim bara Bereshit. So why does it start with the letter Bet? So one of the interpretation, and according to Kabbalah, by starting with the letter Bet, one of the many interpretation, and according to the Kabbalah, by starting with Bet, with the letter Bet, we are aware that there is a beginning that precedes us in time, space, and consciousness. So basically, starting with the letter Bet indicates that there was something before the creation of our world as we know it. Okay, what then precedes creation? The question stands, we have no answer here. Okay, now, the Torah describes a 6-day creation. How long were the days of creation? Is it a fair question? I think yes. Why? Let's first establish. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 5, it says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was an evening, and there was morning. That was day one day. Okay? ויקרא אלוהים לאור יום, ולחושך קרא לילה, ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום אחד. Now, the literal meaning makes us assume that here there was a day, there was a night, must be 24 hours for the day. But really, is it? Because the constellations, the sun, the moon, the stars that we use to determine time as we know it, were created on the 4th day. So what kind of a day was the first day, the second day, the days that we're referring to creation? Maybe all those days are not just the 24 hours days. Can the evening and the morning describe a completion of a process from potential to emergence? Emergence until they were actually created. Maybe there was a process that led them to this creation. So the darkness is when something we can't see. It's not like in our mind, it can be presented as it's not formed yet, but the light brings it to being. So can it be that it's referring to a period of time? Or maybe potentially allows the concept of evolution to happen. Like, I'm not saying we were evolving from being apes, but when you put a seed in the ground, it has its potential until it comes out to a full-fledged plant. It grows through changes. That is in some way like an evolution. So the 6th day of creation, let me see what I wrote here. The 6th day of, this is a quote by a rabbi. The 6 days of creation were lengthy eras rather than 24 hours period. That's Rabbi David Tzvi Hoffman said that. From when did our sages started counting the years in the Hebrew calendar? This is something else. When did we start counting creations? Almost 6,000 years. Okay, so there was a sage named Rabbi Yosef ben Halafta that lived in the 2nd century, and he made the calculations. He lived in Israel, in the Galilee, and he made the calculations from hints that the Bible gave us, according to people's lifespans and some other references to time. Now, according to Rabbi Yosef's understanding, the book of Genesis was a process. According to his understanding, the world began on the 25th of the month of Elul, and on the 6th day, he calculated that was the first day of Tishrei, from where we celebrating Rosh Hashanah, and from where we're counting the 6,000 years, almost 6,000 years. Okay, so basically, the first 6 days of creation are not included in the counting. So it does leave an opening to calculate it in a different way. Oops, again, let me go back. So I want to recap 1 second the details before we continue. Details in the Torah text regarding creation to set it in your mind. Number 1, we said that it starts with the second letter of the alphabet, the letter Bet. The second one, we said that the length of the day during creation is questionable. How long was it? The number 3 was, we said that the Jewish calendar starts counting 6,000 years almost from the 6th day of creation, the creation of man. And these are the 3 claims that we established. Now, number 4, I put that is also something that we believe in Judaism, that God created the world from nothing. I think most people know that. And anything that is made, and nothing has preceded him before. There was nothing before God. God was always there, and he created the world from absolutely nothing. So you have to ask, what is something that is made of nothing? And how we can relate to it is what is 0 multiplied or divided by any number equal to, it will be equal to. So anything, of course, the answer is 0. Anything that is made of nothing is nothing. So what is this world that we have all about? What is this reality that we have is all about? So for a believer, nothing can exist, right? Because unless it is supported by what we call God, because if God didn't support it, we live in a certain reality. If God didn't support it, then it can't exist because it's nothing. So how does science explain creation? And what does it tell us about the making of our reality? So I'll tell you that I've read a book of quantum physics, and I listened to some classes of quantum physics and videos, and I was surprised. Come and see some quotes. Okay, is that science or religion? We believe that God created the world from nothing. We established that already. So the Copenhagen interpretation, which is quantum physics, quantum theory, holds that in a certain sense, the unmeasured atom is not real. Its attributes are created or realized in the act of measurement. So once we start measuring and observing the atom, then it gains gains attributes. Another quote, Danish physicist Niels Bohr, that we mentioned him before, says the world we see around us is real enough, he affirms, but it floats on a world that is not as real. So again, here we see another scientist supporting the same theory. So Bertrand Russell is a philosopher and a scientist, and he says in this philosophy, time and space are unreal. That matter is an illusion, and that the world really consists of nothing but mind. Now, this is his interpretation, nothing but mind, the using of nothing but mind. But here, these are where all these movies, that are coming up today, are based on quantum theory. Physicist David Bohm, another very famous physicist, says the inseparable quantum interconnectedness of the whole universe is the fundamental reality. So what he says here, this quote I chose, there are other quotes that support what we said before, because it's a theory, it's an accepted theory, the quantum physics. I chose something a little bit different, that here we're seeing that the world is interconnected and it's a one whole universe, and this is the reality, okay? There are other quotes that support it, but I decided to stop here. And this associated in my mind as our 3 times a day prayer, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. God is one. The universe is one. Everything is one. So, okay. Now, this is Neil Bohr. He said, everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. So, okay, so now we got to the next stage. We understood that science and religion could be mended, could be related. That in the end result, this quantum theory, and there is so much more about it, the boson field and the Higgs boson, and more developed, if one can look into more, and the more you look, the more you see that religion and science are coming together after all these years. It's like just incredible. Now, why is it important? What difference can it make to our life? What can I do with this information that we just learned? Okay, so science and religion, okay, so they fit. Okay, so maybe we can learn that we can move from judgment of cancellation attitude, where we say, oh, this is like that. I can't believe it. I don't want to believe it. To exploration and personal connection and growth. When we look at things deeper, sometimes we see we can learn and grow. Another one is to allow oneself to create a movement from duality to unity. Duality where I'm holding one opinion and you're holding the other, to unity, that yes, we're on the same line. Yes, maybe we don't agree here, but we are on the same line. We are united, and to try to find the unity within the duality. I think when I say that, I think about our community that has went through many divisive events in the past few years, and but in the end, we're one community. We are united. We should see the lines that connect us all together. From being stuck in the I'm right and you're wrong, to acceptance that we're only people. And I went into particulars, but I shouldn't. It's just in general, because we see it in politics, we see it in everything in our lives today, that people are pulling to extremes instead of joining together and trying to see the other side, to acceptance and sight of a spectrum, to see the spectrum, making the world interesting. Okay, something else that we can maybe learn is see that when seeking truth, it is important to keep our mind plastic, which means flexible, to keep our mind flexible and open to new possibilities, allowing ourselves to explore our lives, to be enriched through both science and religion. When you're open to things, answers come to you. They both have value and wisdom. Religion offers a lot of value and a lot of wisdom if you allow it to. that can add to our lives as a whole. Now, something else that is always important to me, also as a teacher, that asking and holding our questions are very important. We always have to question. And we see that the Jews, to begin with, 57% want to be want the proof, want to hold the question, but maybe they're judgmental because religion doesn't always answer the questions, especially when we thinking rigidly on the, and then we eventually find an answer that resonates with us when we hold the question. And one of the most important things to me that we can learn is understand the unity beyond the division and use it in everyday life. Because in the Shema, we say, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, God is one. The next word is ve'ahavta, and you loved. And when you love, you create the unity. If you understand that there is oneness and unity, then you allow yourself to love and to bond everyone together. God said, it says in the Bible, when God created man, B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, which means we were created in God's image. We were created in God's image because we're all one. We all belong to that oneness. So let's love each other and treat each other like we treat ourselves, like we want to be treated. And that's it. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Wow, that was amazing, really amazing, Rachel. Thank you very much. That was really interesting. And, I really loved your analogy with our congregation, our synagogue. It was so apropos. It was so right on, really. So now let me see, we're opening the floor to questions. I'm going to unmute you, or whenever you want to speak, please unmute yourself. Danny has a question. Yes, Danny?
My question is, why do people automatically assume that science and religion should not get along? Why is there an automatic assumption that science and religion are naturally not on the same page?
So, does anybody want to answer, Danny?
I have maybe some input from a younger person's perspective, and from what I've heard from people my age. It's the idea of God and there being a higher being out there, and being, like my mom said, faith in there being a higher power without really having any scientific proof of it. And so people jump to that idea of God right away, and they don't believe it, so they scratch everything else that comes with religion. They close the door to it because they don't believe there being a higher power.
Interesting. Yes, Gladys?
Not necessarily that people don't believe that science and religions go together. Rabbi Ornstein once gave us a beautiful session based on some theories. He brought ideas by very famous scientists, and the same idea, he brought it from the religion. And it was exactly the same. It was something beautiful what he gave. I don't know if any one of you was there when he gave us the session. It was all on the screen, and he put the sentences that took from the religion, and the same exactly idea it was in the science, and he wrote the name of the one in the science who also said it. It was very interesting session.
Yeah.
So not necessarily they don't go together.
No, but I guess this is what Rachel was trying to, at least that's what I understood. What Rachel was trying to tell us is that there is that unity between science and religion. And she's tried to prove us with a few examples that it is, you know, like the big.
But Rabbi Ornstein gave us exactly the sentences and the facts. And I think it was from Torah that he took it, which is institution in Jerusalem. I saw the name when I went to the Kotel. There is an institution there written on it in big Torah. So I thought Rabbi Ornstein is bringing the ideas from those people. And it was very interesting, many of the ideas, and very famous scientists that they said it, and he brought it from the Torah and where from the Torah, exactly all the facts. It was very interesting, like Rachel just said.
Yeah, thank you, Gladys. Rachel, do you have? Thank you. Do you have anything to add to Danny's question?
I think people shared their views, and I think that yes, people are judgmental, and when they don't get their answer right away, they sometimes, just like Eitan said, my son Eitan, there is a cancellation attitude. That's the cancellation society that we live in today. That when something doesn't jive with you right away, then it's wrong. So people don't try harder to look into the other side. They just say, "Oh, it's wrong," and that's it. It doesn't jive with the facts. Science is a fact. So what are you coming and telling me about this 6,000-year universe or world? It just doesn't make sense. And they don't bother to go further and look at actually what is written and discover for themselves and seek and hold the question.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I want to add something interesting. We are in the year 5,782 today.
Right.
Yes.
If you divide it by 7, it will divide by 7.
We need a machine, a calculator.
No. You need a piece of paper. You are Iraqi. Relax. Yeah, so it is divided by 7. Now, if we divide it again, the quotient with 7, it will be divided again with 7, possible. And this year is the Shnat Shemitah.
Yeah.
What we reach, it means it can be divided by 49. Twice 7 is 49. So the year after is the Jubilee. It is mentioned in the Bible. Now the science has to prove it, not the opposite. And a question from this, I have a question to Rachel.
Yes.
The year 6,000 mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah.
What is said about? Will we reach the year 6,000 and see what is the truth, the science or the religion?
Okay, tell us, Limon.
Okay, you can answer. The year 6,000.
I'm not sure what you're seeking, so please tell us.
No, I'm asking because we don't go for the past, we go for the future. We have to reach the year 6,000. That's what we are looking for as the Jews.
The only thing that associates to me right now instantly with the number 6 is the creation of man. So 6,000, I don't know.
Okay.
Next for 7,000, it's a Shabbat.
No. There's no 7,000. There's 6,000.
Okay.
You hinted something. I hinted. You hinted something. I
association.
hinted something.
We're talking about
If
free
I reach that,
association.
I will answer your question.
What?
If I reach that, time, I will be able to answer your question.
This is exactly what I'm saying. So the year 6000, it is mentioned in the Torah. Maybe it is for the next session.
Okay, maybe we can leave it for the
I
next
looked
session.
it up. It says it's the latest time for the initiation of the Messianic era, Messianic era, age, whatever.
Thank you very much.
All
Well,
right.
you go,
answer
Imran.
Your
that,
son answered the question. Thank you very much. Now, with the when I divided by 7 twice, and I said the year after is the 50th year. Now we are talking about the year of the Jubilee. Anybody knows what about Jubilee in the Torah?
You can tell us, go ahead. So long as it's not very long.
Next year, this Rosh Hashanah will have a Jubilee. And everything will be beautiful for the next year.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So if there is nothing else, no more questions, I thank you all very, very much. And please do join us next week. And the weeks after that, we have every topic is interesting. Every session is interesting. So thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very, very much. It was really interesting. And we look forward to your next session next week.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, everybody that came and spent the time and supported this effort.